One early life and background. Roy Jones Jr. was born on January 16, 1969, in Pensacola, Florida, into a family deeply connected to the world of boxing. His father, Roy Jones Sr., was a former boxer who saw the potential in his son early on and began training him when Roy was just 6 years old. Growing up in a household where boxing was more than just a sport, Roy was exposed to the discipline, determination, and sacrifices that came with it from an incredibly young age. Roy's mother, a strong and supportive figure in his life, played a crucial role in balancing his upbringing. While his father focused on shaping him into a boxer, his mother emphasized the importance of education and being well-rounded. This combination of boxing and academics would help Roy develop a well-rounded character. Both inside and outside the ring from the start, Roy showed remarkable potential. His natural athleticism, combined with his father's tough coaching style, made him a standout even in his early training. Roy's training regimen was rigorous, involving long hours in the gym, where his father worked on his technique, speed, and discipline. These early experiences in the gym, along with the constant encouragement from his family, would lay the foundation for what would become one of the most successful boxing careers in history. As a child, Roy was incredibly dedicated to his training, often sparring with older and more experienced boxers to sharpen his skills. By the time he reached his teenage years, it was clear that Roy was no ordinary fighter. His passion for boxing and his determination to succeed were unparalleled, and his family's unwavering support would prove to be a key factor in his rise to greatness. Roy's upbringing in Pensacola, coupled with the strong guidance of his father and mother, shaped him into a disciplined and focused individual.
Not only is it good for Holyfield that he's thrown the hook so much, he's even getting the right hand in. You don't normally land that against Tony.
And holdedly by Tony. A very good first round for the legendary Holyfield.
2. Entry into boxing. Roy Jones Jr. was introduced to boxing at a very young age by his father, Roy Jones Sr., however. The decision to fully commit to the sport came when Roy was still a child, around 6 years old. Growing up in a family deeply embedded in boxing, it wasn't much of a choice for Roy. It was almost inevitable. His father, a former boxer himself, recognized his son's natural athleticism early on and decided to train him. Roy's father was his first coach and mentor, and their training sessions started in the family's garage and at local gyms. Roy's entry into boxing wasn't just about following in his father's footsteps. It was about discovering his own potential. From the moment he stepped into the ring, Roy felt the thrill of competition. It wasn't long before he realized that boxing was not just a sport to him. It was his calling. Despite the tough training and sacrifices required, Roy quickly fell in love with the sport. However, the path wasn't easy. The early stages of his boxing journey were filled with struggles. As a child in a family that didn't have much wealth, Roy's access to proper equipment, quality gyms, and expert coaching was limited. His father did his best to make ends meet, but financial challenges meant that Roy often had to train in makeshift spaces or with second-hand equipment. Despite these struggles, Roy's determination never wavered. The hardships only fueled his desire to succeed. In his early years, Roy faced the challenge of balancing his school life with his boxing training. While he was attending school, his focus was divided, but his passion for boxing drove him to spend every free moment in the gym. Roy's commitment was unwavering, and he was willing to sacrifice a normal childhood in order to pursue his dreams. His father's strict coaching methods and his mother's balancing support kept him focused. Despite the difficulties, Roy's first competitions came quickly after he started training seriously. His first amateur matches were a mix of challenges and triumphs. As a young boxer, Roy didn't have the luxury of gaining experience in a fully developed amateur system. He often fought opponents who were older or more experienced, but his raw talent, speed, and unique fighting style quickly set him apart. These early competitions helped him refine his skills and gave him a taste of the competition he would face in the future. He didn't just compete for titles. He fought to prove to himself and the world that he was destined for greatness. The early years in boxing were tough, but they laid the foundation for Roy Jones Jr.'s legendary career. The struggles with limited resources, tough training, and difficult competition only strengthened his resolve. He quickly became a force to be reckoned with, and his journey from a young boy in Pensacola to a future boxing legend had begun. 3. First major match and breakthrough. Roy Jones Jr.'s journey to becoming a boxing legend began with his professional debut on May 6, 1989, at the age of 20.
Jones have that much time and nothing.
Solid left hook. And Ruiz comes back with his own left hook and lands the first figure of the ring. Big right hand by shots. Hard to imagine. Ruiz trying to tee off on a body. He told us in our meeting that early days of his career he was a mobile boxer puncher.
Best jabs I've ever seen Roy Jones wear him down if you Ruiz.
Again, the scoring session for Roy Jones.
No time to go back into trying to outbox a boxer and be smart. You got to be rough tonight. Those might be the 3 best jabs I've ever seen Roy Jones have that much time with nothing.
Solid left hook. And Ruiz comes back with his own left hook and lands the first big right hand. And Jones lands a left in return.
Roy Jones Jr. is considered to be the last chosen one in the world of boxing legends.
Now he puts power behind the right hand and down goes home.
Debut on May 6, 1989, at the age of 20. He faced a fighter named Alexis Ruiz in a 4-round super middleweight contest. The match took place at the Maryland House in Lanham, Maryland. This was Roy's first taste of professional boxing, and he made an immediate impression. His speed, reflexes, and agility were evident from the start. Jones dominated the fight from the first bell, and by the end of the 4th round, he had won the match by unanimous decision. This was a significant moment in Roy's career, marking the beginning of what would become an extraordinary rise to stardom. Although it was just a debut, Jones' performance was a preview of his immense potential. He showcased his trademark quickness and defensive skills, making it clear that he was no ordinary fighter. His professional journey had officially begun, but the road ahead would be filled with both challenges and triumphs. That Roy's first major breakthrough came just a few years later, on May 22, 1993, when he faced the seasoned Bernard Hopkins.
Here's Bernard at his aggressive best, lunging in, landing an overhand right.
For the WBC middleweight title. Hopkins, a tough and well-established boxer, was considered one of the top fighters in the division. The match was a turning point for Jones. It was his first major opportunity to prove himself against a well-known opponent on the global stage. The fight was a defining moment for Roy. He defeated Hopkins in a unanimous decision, taking the WBC middleweight title in the process. This victory was the first major title of his career, and it solidified his place as a rising star in boxing. The fight was not only about the title, but also about proving to the world that Roy Jones Jr. was capable of beating some of the best in the sport. Hopkins, despite being a future Hall of Famer, couldn't keep up with Roy's speed and versatility, and Jones dominated throughout the 12 rounds. The victory over Bernard Hopkins marked a significant moment in Jones' career. It was a validation of his skills, his style, and his unrelenting drive. This win catapulted him into the upper echelons of boxing, setting the stage for even bigger challenges ahead. Roy Jones Jr.'s first major match and breakthrough were pivotal in his development as a boxer. The combination of his skill, his confidence, and his ability to handle pressure made him one of the most feared fighters in the world. From that moment on, Roy was no longer just a rising star. He was a champion. For rise to fame, peak career, Roy Jones Jr.'s journey to fame took a significant leap when he captured the WBC middleweight title. This victory marked his entry into the world of boxing champions, establishing him as a force to be reckoned with. But this was only the start of his ascent point. One of his most remarkable moments came in 1996, when he took on James Toney for the IBF super middleweight title. Jones put on an exhibition of his skills, dominating the fight in every round. His speed, precision, and the ability to outbox Tony showcased his exceptional talent. With a unanimous decision victory, Roy's legend in the boxing world grew even further. Roy's boxing style was unlike anyone else's. He was renowned for his lightning-fast reflexes and unmatched speed. Unlike traditional boxers who focused on raw power, Roy used agility and defensive techniques to evade punches while delivering his own with pinpoint accuracy. His low hands and ability to make opponents miss while landing clean shots became his signature style. His ability to outthink and outmove his opponents in the ring made him stand out and redefine what was possible in boxing. While many fighters struggled to move up in weight classes, Roy's ability to establish his dominance in different divisions was extraordinary. After making a mark in middleweight and super middleweight, he moved up to light heavyweight, where he continued his path of victory. In 2003, he took on Antonio Tarver and unified the light heavyweight division by securing multiple major titles, a clear demonstration of his versatility and skill across weight classes. Roy's ability to quickly take control of his weight class was a testament to his extraordinary skills. Within a short time, he became a force in multiple divisions, establishing his legacy as one of boxing's all-time greats. His reign was built on speed, unique techniques, and a style that captivated fans worldwide. 5. Notable rivalries. Roy Jones Jr.'s career was marked by several memorable and iconic rivalries, some of which defined entire chapters of his boxing journey. His rivalries not only added excitement to the sport, but also showcased his skills against some of the toughest opponents in the world. One of the most significant and memorable rivalries was with Bernard Hopkins. Their bout in 1993, where Roy defeated Hopkins to win the WBC middleweight title, was just the beginning of a long-standing rivalry. Though Roy's victory in the first fight was decisive, Hopkins would often claim that he was not in his prime when they fought. Over the years, Hopkins frequently spoke about the fight, claiming that he could have beaten Roy if the conditions had been different. This fueled the rivalry, with fans and media alike discussing what would happen if the two ever met again in their prime. However, despite the back and forth, the first fight remained a definitive win for Jones and one of the cornerstones of his rise to fame. Another notable rivalry was with Antonio Tarver. Their bouts were some of the most anticipated matchups of the 2000s. Tarver, a skilled light heavyweight, became one of Roy's most challenging opponents. The two first faced off in 2004, and Roy was victorious. But their rematch in 2005 saw a shocking turn of events when Tarver defeated Roy in a stunning knockout. The intensity of the rivalry came from Tarver's belief that he was the rightful heir to Jones' throne, and the fans eagerly watched as both fighters exchanged words leading up to each fight. The Tarver rivalry deeply impacted Roy's career, as the loss to Tarver raised questions about his longevity in the sport. Even though Roy would continue to fight after the setback, then there was Glenn Johnson, another fighter who became a significant rival to Roy. Their encounter in 2004 ended in a brutal defeat for Jones, with Johnson delivering one of the most memorable knockouts in Roy's career. This loss was one of the most controversial in Jones' career, as many questioned if Roy was fully prepared or if he had underestimated Johnson's power. The loss to Johnson led to a shift in Roy's career trajectory, as some began to doubt his dominance in the ring. Jones would later avenge this loss in a rematch, but the damage to his reputation had already been done, and the rivalry remained an important part of his career's narrative. The John Ruiz rivalry was also significant, particularly when Roy won the WBA heavyweight title in 2003. This was a major moment in Roy's career, as he became the first former middleweight champion to win a heavyweight title. The fight against Ruiz was contentious because many believed that Roy's move up in weight was a risk, and some questioned whether his skills would translate to the heavier division. Roy's victory against Ruiz was a historic achievement, but it was also surrounded by debate over his decision to challenge himself in the heavyweight class. The rivalry with Ruiz further established Jones as a fighter willing to take on any challenge. Even if it meant going against expectations, the intensity of these rivalries greatly influenced Roy's career. Each fight brought new challenges and tests of his skills, and his rivalries with Hopkins, Tarver, Johnson, and Ruiz added to his legacy. These matchups not only shaped his reputation in the ring, but also impacted his longevity in the sport. The back-and-forth exchanges between Roy and his rivals were often filled with trash talk, personal stakes, and the kind of intensity that boxing fans crave. Controversy surrounded some of these rivalries, especially the loss to Tarver in their second encounter. Many critics speculated that Roy's dominance had been compromised by the effects of moving up weight classes and the physical toll of his previous battles. The controversy surrounding his performances after this loss led to debates about whether Roy had lost a step or was simply outmatched by new, hungry competitors. Despite these rivalries and controversies, Roy Jones Jr. remained one of the most respected and iconic figures in boxing. His ability to rise above challenges and take on formidable opponents, even at the height of his fame, solidified his legacy as a fighter who would always be remembered for his bravery, skill, and resilience. 6. Major wins and defining fights. Roy Jones Jr. had a career full of defining fights and monumental victories. However, his most important fight and defining moment came in 1993 when he faced Bernard Hopkins for the WBC middleweight title. The fight was more than just a title bout. It was a statement to the boxing world that Roy was a force to be reckoned with. This victory marked the beginning of his ascent to the top of the boxing world. The match against Hopkins wasn't just a display of Roy's skill. It also highlighted his dominance in the middleweight division. Jones had already established himself as a rising star, but a win over a seasoned and tough opponent like Hopkins solidified his place among boxing's elite. The fight was competitive but never truly in doubt. Roy's speed, defensive abilities, and counterpunching were on full display. He outclassed Hopkins, winning the fight by unanimous decision, and took home the WBC middleweight title. This fight was career-defining for several reasons. First, it was Jones' first major title, a moment that would be remembered as the beginning of his championship reign. Second, it marked the point where Jones fully began to establish his own legacy, as his skills set him apart from others in his weight class. The win over Hopkins was more than just a victory in the ring. It was a defining moment that placed Roy Jones Jr. on the map as one of the most dangerous and unique fighters in boxing. While this win was crucial in setting the tone for his career, another major victory came in 2003 when Roy Jones Jr. took on John Ruiz for the WBA heavyweight title. This fight was monumental, as it made Roy the first fighter in history to win a world title in 4 different weight classes. Moving up to heavyweight was a huge risk, as the division was filled with much larger and stronger opponents. But Jones' speed, ring IQ, and ability to evade punches allowed him to dominate Ruiz, who was a seasoned heavyweight. Roy's unanimous decision victory was historic, and it earned him widespread praise for his ability to defy expectations and conquer new challenges. The key moments in the Ruiz fight were Roy's defensive brilliance and his ability to control the pace of the fight. Although Ruiz was larger and stronger, Roy's quick footwork and fast hands kept him at bay. He controlled the fight from the start, and the result was a historic achievement in boxing history. Roy's win over Ruiz not only added another title to his collection, but also proved his ability to transcend weight classes and fight at the highest level. Regardless of the challenge, another defining moment in Roy's career came during his fight with James Toney in 1994. Toney was a well-respected and skilled fighter, and the match for the IBF super middleweight title was a crucial test for Roy. The fight was a dominant performance from start to finish. Roy completely outboxed Toney, showcasing his superior speed, agility, and defensive skills. He won the fight by unanimous decision, further establishing himself as one of the sport's elite boxers. This victory was significant not only because it was another title win, but because it solidified Roy's place as a top fighter in his weight class. That Roy's major wins were not just about titles, but about showcasing his unique talents and making history in the process.
Jones have that much time and nothing.
Solid left hook. And Ruiz comes back with his own left hook and lands the first figure of the ring. Big right hand by shots. Hard to imagine. Ruiz trying to tee off on a body. He told us in our meeting that early days of his career, he was a mobile boxer puncher.
Best jabs I've ever seen Roy Jones wear him down if you lose.
Whether it was his early victory over Hopkins, his historic win over Ruiz, or his flawless performance against Tony, Roy's career-defining fights were about more than just winning. They were about setting a new standard in boxing. These victories helped shape his legacy, as Roy Jones Jr. became known as a fighter who could dominate in multiple weight classes, adapt his style to any opponent, and leave an indelible mark on the sport. 8. Comeback story. Roy Jones Jr.'s career was not without its setbacks, but it was his resilience and determination that made his comeback one of the most remarkable stories in boxing history. After reaching the peak of his career, with multiple championships across different weight classes, Jones faced a series of challenges that led to unexpected losses, forcing him to reconsider his future in the sport. The first major blow to his career came in 2004, when he suffered a shocking knockout loss to Antonio Tarver in their second fight. This loss raised doubts about Roy's skills and his future as a top fighter. Many speculated that his dominance had diminished, and it was uncertain whether he could bounce back from such a decisive defeat. To add to the complications, in 2005, Roy suffered another tough defeat at the hands of Glenn Johnson, which many believed would mark the end of his reign as a top-level competitor. The series of defeats left fans questioning if Jones could ever return to his former glory, however. Despite the setbacks, Jones was determined to make a comeback. He continued to fight and train, and in 2008, he faced Felix Trinidad, a former champion. The fight, while not as high-profile as some of his previous bouts, was an opportunity for Roy to prove he still had the skills and heart of a champion. He won the fight by unanimous decision, which reinvigorated his career and showed that despite the setbacks, Roy could still compete at the highest level. In 2011, Roy faced Darnell Boone, who had previously knocked him out in 2008. Jones sought to avenge this loss and prove that he still had the skills to compete with fighters who were much younger and in their prime. Roy won the fight, solidifying his belief that he could still make a meaningful impact in the sport. While Jones didn't return to the same level of dominance he once had, his perseverance in the face of adversity was a testament to his legendary status. Even though Jones continued to face challenges and could not reclaim the same dominance in the ring as in his prime, his determination and resilience in the face of setbacks inspired a new generation of fighters. His comeback story became an embodiment of the boxer's spirit, a story of not giving up. Even when the odds seemed stacked against him, Roy Jones Jr. was able to continue fighting and remain competitive well beyond many of his peers, despite not returning to the peak of his earlier years. His story is a reminder that even the greatest champions face difficult times, but it's their ability to come back and keep pushing forward that solidifies their place in boxing history. 9. Coaching. Roy Jones Jr. transitioned into coaching after his active boxing days. In 2018, he became a trainer for several fighters, sharing his vast knowledge of the sport with the next generation. His ability to understand the intricacies of boxing, combined with his vast experience, made him a respected coach in the sport. Jones worked with boxers to teach them his unique style, emphasizing speed, defense, and the unorthodox techniques that made him a champion. He also coached his son, Roy Jones III, guiding him through the early stages of his boxing career. 10. Commentary and analysis. Roy Jones Jr. has also made a name for himself as a boxing commentator and analyst. He began working as a color commentator for major boxing events, providing insights on the fights and breaking down technical aspects of the matches. His knowledge of the sport, combined with his engaging personality, made him a popular figure in the commentary booth. Jones' first-hand experience in the ring allows him to offer valuable perspectives to viewers, giving them a deeper understanding of what happens in a boxing match. 11. Charity work. Roy Jones Jr. has been involved in charity work throughout his career, using his platform to give back to the community. He has supported various initiatives aimed at helping underprivileged youth and promoting education. Additionally, Jones has been a strong advocate for programs that provide access to sports for children who may not have the resources to participate otherwise. His charitable contributions reflect his desire to make a positive impact outside the ring, ensuring that the legacy of his success also benefits others. 12. Retrospective analysis. Roy Jones Jr.'s career, when viewed through the lens of today's boxing world, remains one of the most significant and revolutionary in the sport's history. Even as the landscape of boxing has evolved, Jones' impact continues to shape the direction of the sport. His ability to transcend weight classes, redefine what was possible with speed and agility, and his profound influence on boxing technique ensures that his legacy endures. 13. Significance in today's boxing world. In today's boxing scene, Roy Jones Jr. is still regarded as one of the most innovative and versatile fighters to have ever graced a ring. Modern boxers, especially those like Vasyl Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson, who rely on speed, technique, and ring intelligence, often draw comparisons to Jones due to his unmatched ability to control the pace of a fight with his superior reflexes and quickness. Roy's influence on defensive techniques and counterpunching has become part of the foundation for today's boxers. Additionally, Roy's achievements, most notably winning world titles in 4 different weight classes, continue to serve as a benchmark for modern fighters. In an era where boxing's heavyweights dominate headlines, Jones' success in multiple divisions highlights how versatile a fighter must be to truly leave a mark on the sport. While today's boxing champions may not always employ Jones' style exactly, they certainly adopt many elements of his approach, combining unorthodox strategies with athleticism and flair. 14. Lessons from his story. Roy Jones Jr.'s journey offers valuable lessons for anyone pursuing greatness, not just in boxing, but in any field. His career teaches the importance of innovation, risk-taking, and mental resilience. Jones was never content with being just another boxer. He consistently sought to break boundaries, push the limits of what was possible, and redefine the sport. His willingness to move up and down weight classes, challenge opponents beyond his comfort zone, and experiment with his fighting style showed the importance of courage in the face of adversity. His story also exemplifies the power of perseverance. Even after facing setbacks in the latter part of his career, including losses to Antonio Tarver and Glenn Johnson, Roy's comeback and his ability to stay relevant in the sport demonstrates that it's not just about the setbacks you face, but how you rise from them. His resilience, despite losing some of his prime years to age and injuries, reflects the mental toughness that champions need to maintain. 15. Influence on modern boxers. Roy Jones Jr.'s impact on today's fighters is undeniable. His unique combination of speed, athleticism, and intelligence in the ring has become a blueprint for many of today's elite boxers. Boxers like Floyd Mayweather and Canelo Alvarez have credited Roy for influencing their own defensive and offensive strategies. His emphasis on quick reflexes, counterpunching, and outmaneuvering opponents has been echoed in how modern boxers approach their craft. Younger fighters also benefit from the tools Roy used, from the psychological approach of maintaining focus during high-pressure moments to using unorthodox methods to outsmart opponents. His low-guard approach, the way he baited opponents into punches, and how he countered with devastating speed are now standard moves among the sport's most skilled boxers. Roy Jones also set a precedent for boxers transitioning into commentary, coaching, and other roles within the sport after retiring. Many former boxers, such as Timothy Bradley and Andre Ward, have followed Roy's path, using their experience to offer valuable insights into the sport for both fans and aspiring athletes. 16. Final thoughts on career and legacy. Roy Jones Jr.'s career stands as a testament to his brilliance, innovation, and resilience in the world of boxing. Over 3 decades, he captivated fans with his unparalleled athleticism, unique style, and an indomitable fighting spirit. His journey from a young boy in Pensacola, Florida, to a globally recognized boxing icon is a story of dedication, risk-taking, and breaking barriers. 17. Career summary and major achievements. Jones' career is marked by a series of extraordinary accomplishments that few boxers in history can match. He held world titles in 4 weight divisions: middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight, an achievement that cemented his place among the sport's greats. Some of his most notable achievements include winning the WBC middleweight title in 1993, defeating James Toney in 1994 to claim the IBF super middleweight title, dominating the light heavyweight division with multiple unified titles, moving up to heavyweight in 2003 and defeating John Ruiz to claim the WBA heavyweight title, becoming the first former middleweight champion in over 100 years to achieve this feat. Jones also earned recognition as the Fighter of the Decade for the 1990s by the Boxing Writers Association of America, a period during which he was virtually untouchable in the ring. 18. Legacy and acknowledgement. Roy's legacy has been celebrated through numerous awards, honors, and inductions. In 2022, he was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, a fitting tribute to his remarkable career. Beyond formal recognition, his legacy lives on in the admiration of fans, analysts, and fighters who view him as one of the greatest boxers of all time. His influence extends to the boxing community, where his fighting style, characterized by speed, flair, and unorthodox techniques, remains a benchmark for innovation. Roy's dominance across multiple weight classes also set a new standard for versatility and ambition in the sport. 19. Personal impact on boxing and fans. For fans, Roy Jones Jr. was more than just a boxer. He was an entertainer, a role model, and a symbol of excellence. His confidence, showmanship, and ability to deliver unforgettable performances made him a fan favorite. Roy's ability to connect with audiences, both inside and outside the ring, showcases charisma and love for the sport. For the boxing world, Roy's impact has been transformative. He redefined what it means to be a complete fighter, showing that speed, intelligence, and adaptability can be as decisive as raw power. Fighters today continue to study his techniques, and his career serves as an inspiration to those aspiring to reach the pinnacle of the sport beyond boxing. Roy's humility and dedication to his community have endeared him to fans worldwide. Whether through his coaching, commentary, or charity work, Roy has remained committed to giving back and inspiring others. Conclusion. Roy Jones Jr.'s career is a story of unparalleled greatness, marked by bold decisions, groundbreaking achievements, and an enduring impact on the sport of boxing. His legacy is one of innovation, resilience, and inspiration, serving as a reminder of what is possible when talent meets determination. For his fans and for the sport itself, Roy will forever be remembered as a true legend who transcended the ring and left an indelible mark on boxing history. Thank you for watching this tribute to the legendary Roy Jones Jr. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more stories about boxing greats, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit the like button, share with fellow boxing fans, and let us know in the comments who you'd like us to feature next. It was this combination of family values, early exposure to boxing, and a relentless work ethic that would propel Roy Jones Jr. toward his legendary career in the ring.